So this is the 2018 foundation tier paper. So the first question then, give the structure that represents propene. Okay, so meth, eth, prop. So it's going to be 3 carbons. ENE means it's got a double bond. Okay, so we're looking for one with 3 carbons, double bond, so that's going to be B. Hydrocarbons with the general formula CnH2, 2n plus 2, that's the general formula for alkanes, okay? So all of them without a double bond. Unsaturated means they've got a double bond, okay? Saturated doesn't. So you would be writing E and B in here, okay? Be careful of that question because that's more of a biology question that they've thrown in. So then the second part of the question goes on to say, state which 2 results are used to calculate the mean value for brand 2. So looking at which ones will be used to calculate the mean, and that's going to be that one and that one. So 1 and 2, you could have written the numbers, it doesn't matter to calculate the mean. Convert brand 2 into seconds. So brand 2 was 4 minutes, so 4 times by 60 plus the 30 seconds. Give a reason why the results suggest brand 3 is the best tablet for treating acid indigestion, takes the least amount of time to turn green or to neutralize. Okay. Second question then, state what is meant by exothermic, releases heat, heat energy exits. State which substance has been oxidized, starts in the reactants with no oxygen, ends in the products with an oxygen. Okay. What is meant by reduction, the loss of oxygen, the gain of electrons. State what the equation tells you about the relative reactivities of chromium and aluminium. Aluminium is more reactive than chromium because it's got the ability to steal the oxide. Okay, so you can see that in the equation. And then in the second bit of this question, then they go on to place some copper in silver nitrate and look at what's happening. So same kind of thing. Copper is more reactive than silver, so it's going to steal the nitrate away. Explain the 2 changes shown in the chemical reactions taking place. So you can see a colour change. I know you can't on this picture, but you would on the day. Colour change due to the copper nitrate. Okay, so copper is turned it into a different colour because they're different colours, the nitrate solution. Silver kind of like coats on top of that wiring that was originally there. Okay, balance the equation. It was a nice 1, 2s, and then silver nitrate, you need to do top, spot, drop, but they were both 1 each, so you didn't need to do anything more than that. Question number 3 then, be careful of questions like this where you've got to draw the arrows, okay? So the first line goes there, make sure you draw an arrowhead on it. Second line there, again, make sure you draw an arrowhead. Be careful of questions like this then. So magnesium started as 2, 8, 2, okay? Lost 2 electrons, so it's going to be 2, 8. It says the ions, the charged molecules at the end, okay? You have got 2 chlorines, okay? Each one has gained 1, so it's -1. Be so careful of that because that would be such a silly mark to lose. Covalent bonding then. You look at them, they're both non-metals, so it's going to be covalent. They've really nicely given it to you. All you have to do is draw where they're sharing, okay? In there, type of bonding, covalent, because they're sharing. Describe how crude oil was formed. Dead marine plants and animals, millions of years, intense heat and pressure. So there was a mark for making sure you did them. Make sure it's millions, okay? Give the term non-renewable, will run out, okay? It's a finite resource. The process is called fractional distillation. Fractions can be separated because they have different boiling points. You could have written carbon chain lengths, things like that. What best describes crude oil? Crude oil is a mixture of hydrocarbons. Okay, again, these are really simple things that we need to revise to make sure that we get the marks. Again, a nice question. Calculate the percentage by mass of carbon. So you need to do MR. This is from last year, the MR table. Then the total of carbon over the total. Times it by 100 because they're looking for a percentage. Okay, you could have written 84. That's still fine. Okay, so questions like this, we need to make sure we've got the ability to do. Okay, so this one then, propene. So meth, eth, prop. Okay, so it's 3. That ENE means a double bond. Okay, so it would have been B. Okay. General formula, that's the general formula of an alkane. You will be asked that, okay? So the ones without double bonds, there were 3 of them. Unsaturated means something with a double bond. Be careful of that because that's more of a biology term. So they might use the word saturated. Saturated is no double bonds, okay? Just only single bonds. So be careful of that because that's more of a biology term than that is a chemistry term. Plastics are made from chemicals obtained from crude oil. Give 2 methods of plastic waste disposal. Okay, reading the questions is really important there. I've written up there, very important. Environmental problems. Okay, so burning of plastics releases toxic fumes, could send to a landfill, but the space is running out. Okay, mention of stuff like going in the oceans really need to be explained. So stick to things like this when you're talking about recycling plastics. Then an awful lot of information to read, okay? Turn to the first question. Don't spend ages looking at it until you know what you've got to do, okay? So give a reason why the information about how easily each fuel burns was not useful, okay? Because they're all burning at the same rate, the same information, okay? One of the students based his judgment purely on the availability of each fuel, okay? So A was the most available, then B was the most available, then C, then A. Okay, so look at that. That's going to spend a little bit of time working it out. Okay, now the next question says tick which one is the most following statement best describes the fuels when they're in the environment. Okay, something to notice here. Okay, sulfur dioxide's acid rain. Okay, carbon dioxide's global warming. Okay, so you were looking for the one that produced sulfur dioxide as well. Okay, again that's from last year, but be careful to just think about it, put it in your head for revision purposes. Okay. Same kind of thing then, picking out information. It would cost 18p, and we were looking at the cost of efficiency. That was 245, okay? Looking at the statements and ticking if they were correct. Okay, so this was a lot of reading information and picking it out and putting it in the right place. Nice 6 marker then, if it comes up. I split it into 3 parts, okay? Dissolve. What are we dissolving? Why are we dissolving it? They gave you information as to what you were adding, okay? They said to include an equation in your answer, okay? You could have gone as far, and I will put it at the bottom, to include a symbol equation as well, okay? So show them that you can do it, because I know you can, okay? Show them that you can do it. Okay, so H2O plus CO2 because it is carbonate. So first stage then, dissolve. Add excess copper carbonate to the acid to ensure it neutralizes, to ensure it's all used up. Fizz in and solution will turn blue. CO2 would be formed. You could have also written you would see an excess, because at the end you should see an excess of the copper carbonate, because you want to make sure that all of the acid is neutralized, all the acid dissolves. Second stage then, filter. The mixture is filtered, excess copper carbonate is removed, and you end up with a copper sulfate solution. Okay, so solution means it's with the water. Solution is heated, so the water evaporates, and you're left then with pure crystals of copper sulfate. Okay, nice 6 marker there. Next question then, looking at electrolysis. Thinking about it, nice graph to plot, okay, single line, okay, draw a suitable line. Remember, if it's a suitable line, you can still draw a curve, okay? Just because it says line doesn't mean you can't draw a curve, but this one was a straight line. Then it says furthest from the mean, take away the mean mass divided by the mean mass, okay? You could have done it with a 7.8 as well, okay? It didn't matter, each value would end the same, but you could have got minus 0.25 the other way, okay? The mass of copper formed is lower expected. Give the likely reasons for your difference, okay? Not pure is most probably the most one, okay? So it's impure form, so it didn't react. Looking then at aluminium electrolysis, okay? So panic, you can see I've written it by here. Aluminium 3 plus ions are positive and the cathode is negative. Negatives and positives attract, okay? Or something like opposites attract. Okay, complete the word equation. So you're forming aluminium and oxygen. Remember, oxygen's diatomic, and then you had to balance it, okay? Write the formula for potassium carbonate to complete the equation for the overall reaction. So I did top, swap, drop, okay? And you can see what's happened, and there's the complete equation that's been formed. Again, a couple of marks of things that were from last year. Bond energies then. So use the energy values to calculate the energy release when all the bonds in carbon dioxide and water are formed, okay? So you're over here because you're looking for the ones that are formed, the products, okay? So be careful of that. Be careful that you read the right information. So you've got 4 of the OH, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2 of the CO. Add that together, and that is what you get, okay? Be careful of that in terms of making sure that you read the question, because you can see I started working out something else. Read the question, make sure that you work out the right bit, okay? It then goes on to tell you that the reactance was that, okay? So reactance minus products would give you that. It's exothermic because the negative value is lower, okay? Or you could have written something like the reactance, the amount of energy in the reactance is lower than the products, stuff like that, okay? Again, there's a bit of paper at the back for just extra questions. Ignore that because that's just pinged up. And then you get a periodic table and a table of ions, okay? So make sure that you're using them.